Is that a Toyota Tacoma?
I really think it could be. Is it built with a budget in mind?
Now that you mention it, I think it is.
The legendary Toyota Tacoma. The one-of-a-kind truck that can withstand anything with ridiculous durability and performance to match. Maybe not speed, maybe not fuel efficiency, but the Tacoma is a truck that can really take you anywhere. It is reliable as they come. It is as fun as it gets to drive. If you like driving trucks, there's probably way funner vehicles out there, but this thing is a blast. It's also a money pit. And you might be wondering, why is it a money pit? You just said it was reliable. Well, it's a money pit because building these things out can get expensive. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to build a Toyota Tacoma on a budget. What that means is not buying the cheapest parts we can find and slapping them on here. It means finding good quality parts at affordable prices for what we need versus what we think we might need because we're going to become a Baja race truck in 2 years and you definitely need long travel. Spoiler alert, you don't need long travel. But all that to say, we're gonna get into what we did on this build and how you can replicate it on your own and maybe give you some guidance as building a truck can be very overwhelming. Let's get right to it. What's going on, everybody? Today we got the 2010 Toyota Tacoma here, and we're gonna be showing you how to do a budget build. What we mean by a budget build is, like we talked about before, not skimping out on money, not skimping out on parts, but buying ones that are gonna get the most bang for your buck. In this video, we're going to go through kind of three main areas. First is going to be the suspension setup. Second is going to be the tire setup. And third is going to be some of the cheap, easy mods you can do that are going to be quality of life mods for your build. So let's get started and let's talk about the suspension. All right, let's talk suspension. So on this 2010 Tacoma, on the front suspension, we have Bilstein 6112s. That is our front coilover. They're set to 2.5 inches of lift on the front. And you might be wondering, is there a reason that you didn't go the Bilstein 5100 route? Very good shocks. We actually have them in the rear, but for the front we wanted something a little bit heavier duty with a bigger shock body. The price was a tiny bit more, but they also came pre-built, which was really nice. And you do get that larger shock body, so that's going to dissipate any sort of heat. That's going to allow you to prevent any shock fade and stuff like that. And it's going to be a really good option for us if we were to add weight in the front as well, which could be in the potential of armor or skid plates or a winch. And so in the front we have the Bilstein 6112 front coilover. You could also go for a 5100 and a spring as well and pair it really nicely to the weight that you have in the front of your truck, but this is what we went with. It's definitely on the more budget side. Comparables could be the Dobinson's IMS series. You have some Fox 2.5s, all that sort of stuff. We ended up going the Bilstein. It was the cheapest, and so far it has been brilliant. Now you might notice if you come in a little bit more that we have this JBA upper control arm. This is the standard upper control arm here. The reason we have that is because when you lift your Tacoma over about 2.5 inches around there, your geometry gets a little bit out of whack. It doesn't get out of whack where it becomes undrivable, but you want to correct it with a new upper control arm. What these do, they move the caster in the positive direction. Remember, up top, positive caster is going to move your wheel back towards your body mount, whereas caster set in the positive direction on the lower control arm is going to push it forward. You want to make sure you offset those. These have been brilliant though. These control arms come with a replaceable ball joint. They also have easy lube bushings on the top, which is fantastic. I grease them every oil change and there has been no signs of failure on my 4Runner or this Tacoma. Nice part is we also work with JBA because we believe in their products and they are such an awesome company to work with. We do have a code with them, Loose Axles, and a link in our bio which will get you free merch anytime you order them. They are fantastic. I can't talk highly enough. The only other thing that we've done in the front, kind of around that whole suspension thing like we've been talking about, is we have done the EGCS clamshell bushing upgrade. That takes out the needle bearing bushing in the front here on the driver's side CV axle. Sometimes when you lift it, the suspension geometry, the angle of the CVs can change a little bit, and so that just corrects it. That was done on here because it was fairly loud and it was fairly obnoxious, and it just gave us a worrisome feeling, so we replaced that. You can do it yourself. All you need to do is take out the driver's side CV and replace all that good stuff. You can also pay a shop to do it. There's tools to do it. I would recommend doing that if you're going to go through the process of lifting the front of your Tacoma. Now, if we were to go to the back, let's come back here. In the rear, we have a Bilstein 5100. And so that is just a very simple shock, very easy to replace. If you're lifting your Tacoma, I would highly recommend these. They are very affordable compared to other options. The only other thing that we've added here is a torch add-a-leaf kit. What that does is it just adds a leaf to your leaf pack, which means it's going to sit a little bit higher. Very easy to install. We have some on our channel on how to install those. And what that ends up doing is it makes the truck sit pretty darn level. Looks really good, very easy to do, and it levels it out. You don't need to get lift blocks. Please don't do that. Just get a simple add-a-leaf, and that's all you have to do. All right, now let's talk tires. On here we have some 33-inch tires. These are KMC Lobos in -10 offset. That means that it's pushed out a little bit. Positive offset usually has the mount closer to the hub. Negative pushes it out a little bit more for that poke, that nice, beautiful poke. And so these are 17 by 8.5-inch wheels, and they are wrapped in these beautiful 33 Falken AT4Ws. These are the recent successor for the ever popular AT3W that I have on my 4Runner and I love and I've had no issues with. I can't wait to actually review these. We're trying to get a bunch of content before we do that. But these tires are great. They're a 33, which is a 285 70/17. They're a little bit heavier though. That is going to impact your drivability. We'll take it on the road in a second and talk a little bit more about that. But other than that, you have a more aggressive tread pattern and they look great. You could go up to 35s. You're going to have to trim a lot more and it's going to be a lot heavier, and that means you're probably going to have to re-gear and some of that stuff, but let's not get into that today. The only thing I do want to get into today is this over here. And so if you were to come over here on this side, we can kind of show you a little bit better, I believe, is when you do go up to a 33, you are going to have to trim some stuff. Of course, you're going to have to trim that front fender. That is going to be important. The other thing you're going to have to trim is sometimes trimming this body mount over here. You see, this body mount is where your body mounts to the frame. It can often rub on the scrub radius of these tires, which is usually no bueno. And so all you have to do is cut that with a grinder, weld the new plate on. Some people don't even weld the new plate on. I would if it was you, if it was me too. But all that to say, you do have to do a little bit of trimming if you're going up to 33s. Some people say if you have a 0-degree offset wheel and you set everything just perfect and max out that caster on your lower control arm, you can get away with that. Just trim it. It just makes sense. And so that is what you have to do for the wheels. That's the wheel setup we got on here. Like I was talking about, it's aggressive and it looks great. And so let's talk a little bit more about how the wheels are when we are driving with those bigger tires. Now, when it comes to tires, going up a size, such as going to a 35 or a 33, is going to have drawbacks, of course. One of them is going to be your MPG. When you have a heavier tire, a larger rotating mass, it's going to take more energy from the truck to actually push that tire around. That means your miles per gallon, it is going to go down a bit. The other thing you might notice with the more aggressive all-terrain or mud terrain, you are going to have a lot more road noise. That is the drawback of having that more aggressive tread pattern. Anything else when it comes to tires that you might notice might be something like rubbing. We've talked a little bit about rubbing, what we've had to trim, but if you are going to be going up a size on your tires, be prepared to trim your fenders, your body mount. Really, there's a lot of things, and a lot of it is going to come down to the offset of your wheel. A lot of people get stuck on the thought that if they lift their truck a certain height, you're not going to have any rubbing. The truth is, the height of your truck doesn't really dictate the turn radius. That's going to be your scrub radius that's more dictated by the offset in the actual size of the tire. And so if you want to learn how to fit 33s in a 4Runner or how we did on this Tacoma, there's a few videos on the channel. Feel free to check those out as well. All right, and so the last two things we want to talk about when it comes to this budget build, because we really haven't done too much other than the wheels and the lift, that's all you really have to do to achieve this look, is two simple mods that take like 20 minutes and they're gonna protect your truck going forward. The first one, like we just had a video on the channel about, is gonna be the AC condenser hose, the AC drain relocation. You got an AC drain hose up here, it leaks right on top of the frame. We do not want that, and so we're gonna relocate that with a simple hose. Nice and simple. That's going to protect your frame from rusting out. And the second thing that we're going to relocate is if we go over here to the rear end of the truck. If you didn't know this is the rear end, if you didn't know that, that's freaking me out, man. That's crazy. I don't want to drive when you're on the road. But if we go underneath, we actually have a rear differential here. On top of that rear differential, there's going to be a breather plug. Those can often get plugged. You don't want to plug. That means that your breather isn't breathing properly, which means your rear diff isn't able to expand the pressure out of that breather plug, which means it's going to go out your axle seals, and you don't want to blow those. That's not any fun. And so it's a really simple mod. We have some videos on the channel about that as well. I am just breathing in all these freaking weeds, man. This hair is killing me. Of how you can breathe. No, don't breathe. Breather. Oh, Lord. Extend that up to your cab. I need to stand up so it can breathe, unlike me. Oh. All right, and so now in summary, because I can summarize real quickly, so let's do it. Front suspension, Bilstein 6112 has a JBA standard upper control arm. These are a really good combo. Right here, we have a negative 10 KMC Lobo. It is wrapped in a 285/70 17 Falken Wildpeak. Fantastic combo, does not need much trimming. On the rear, same tire, same rim, torch, add a leaf kit. Makes your leafs a little bit higher by adding an extra leaf to that leaf kit. Great. Bilstein 5100 in the rear. That is a very simple budget-minded build. You don't need anything crazy. Don't get a cold air intake. That is bizarre. Don't waste money on that kind of stuff. Notice how we haven't put lights on the truck yet. We will eventually, but they're not a priority. These work really good. But it might be fun to add them in the future, but we don't need to do that yet. The only two other things, remember, we can protect our frame and our axle by doing two relocations. First one, AC drain relocation. Second one is going to be the rear differential breather relocation. That is everything in this video in about a minute. Now, enjoy how the truck looks instead of me just yapping. Catch you next time.